playmakers.com. I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we'll be answering about that team in our August 20th preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. I'm with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And Dan, we're talking about the Sweetwater Mustangs tonight.
Yeah, and this is a team that I think is among the more intriguing teams going into 2025 in all of the big country. They had kind of an injury-riddled season last year, went 6-5, but they returned a huge nucleus from that group. 21 of their 31 Letterman return, including 9 offensive and 8 defensive starters, so a ton of experience back. And then a new coach, Coach Brian Hodnett, who had been on Russell Lucas's staff, takes over as the head coach now. So he's back in that head coaching seat. So a lot of interesting things going on with this program, and we'll talk about some of the biggest questions they face this year here in just a few minutes.
All right, before we do that, we want to remind you folks to please hit the subscribe button on YouTube. It's free. And then please hit the small bell, and you'll get notifications each and every time that we post a video there. With that, let's jump into the Sweetwater Mustangs, Dan. Let's fire off a few questions that we're going to have about them. Go ahead and shoot first.
I think the biggest one is just how smoothly will that transition go from Coach Lucas to Coach Hodnett. One big thing aiding that process is that Coach Hodnett has been around those players. He knows those guys. He was on that staff in a prominent position, a coordinator role. So he obviously is stepping into a pretty good transition process. But there's always going to be a few things changed here and there, and I'm just interested to see how that transition goes. Fortunately, this is a guy in Coach Hodnett with a lot of head coaching experience, a lot of program building experience. So you're not going to have that kind of learning curve in terms of a first-time head coach, but I'm just interested to see if they can keep a smooth transition, keep this thing rolling, and if they can with the experience with the experience they have back, I think they've got a chance to have a really nice season this year.
You mentioned the injury situation last year. Here's a little anecdote. Russell Lucas and former coach Russell Lucas and Brian Hodnett, the new coach, sat down last year, Hodnett being his assistant, and they took a look at this ridiculous injury situation that they were up against. Lucas is a guy with 30 years of coaching experience. Hodnett's been coaching for 20. So 50 combined years of coaching at various places, various stops. And they both sat down and said the same thing. It was the worst year for injuries either one of them had seen. That's in 50 combined years of experience. And it really was ridiculous. There were guys going to the medical tent left and right. You know what, though? To suffer through that and still manage to post a 6-5 record and make the playoffs says a heck of a lot about the talent on hand over at Sweetwater. When you start talking about the worst year for injuries that you'd ever seen with all those years of experience, and you still make the playoffs, that's a real positive. Um, this year, if they can, if they avoid that kind of calamity again, I think they look good. But there's the one question that I would have is up front offensive line. They do have a couple of big guys up there. They have Brayton McIntosh, he's 6'3 and 315. They've got Jose Cruz, he's 6'2 and 290, but they don't have a lot of depth up front. So the key question is really a matter of luck. Will they get through the season, with that offensive line not suffering a whole bunch of injuries? And if they do, with all the skill that they've got coming back, I think it bodes well. I think that you're looking at a pretty good season overall.
Yeah. And that kind of sends me into the third question, which is about the playmakers on this team. They've got a ton of playmakers, guys who have had a lot of experience doing big things on both sides of the football. On offense, you've got Caden Ortiz, a quarterback who's a junior now in his third year as their quarterback, a kid who's really done some really nice things. And then on the defensive side, you've got Braxton Barty, who is a really big playmaker at linebacker, and could move to the secondary this year. So, but just they've got a lot of those guys up and down the lineup on both sides of the football who have made plays for them in big games. And my question is just like, what kind of leadership are they going to get now they have that? You're talking about guys who have already done it on the field. I'm interested to see just kind of how that translates into a leadership situation, because you would expect to have a lot of leaders on this team with this senior class you've gotten. If you have good leadership, a lot of experience, a lot of time that leads to a strong season. So I'm obviously you are right. The depth of the offensive line is going to be a big deal. You can't absorb a whole lot of injuries up front. That's going to be a big question. But if they can keep those guys up front healthy, I'm interested to see just how good a season this can be, because I think if they can do that, they could be challenging Jim Ned for a district championship here later this year.
Yes, absolutely. All right, we're going to take a look at Sweetwater's schedule for 2025. But before we do that, we need to thank a few of our sponsors. Beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Brackenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Bracken, KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a new vehicle or a used vehicle, call Rob. He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever want to meet. Give him a shout at 254 559 2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bayer Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge. And finally, Cavalry Resources and Construction, located up in Breckenridge, serving the entire big country, offering custom standing seam roofing made on location and all commercial roofing applications. Give Kobe Walker a shout at 254 246 5546. That is Cavalry Resources and Construction in Breckenridge. All right, and with that, we're going to take a look at Sweetwater's schedule for 2025. We'll begin with the non district portion. They'll start at home twice. They'll have Idalou on August the 29th, followed by Midland Greenwood on September 5th. The Mustangs will then travel to Seminole on September the 12th. They will play host to Lubbock Estacado on the 19th, followed by a road date, a difficult road date, and that's going to be an interesting matchup at Wall on September the 26th before going into their open date. That's a nice schedule, a nice non-district schedule, at least for the fans it is. But
Yeah.
that's going to be that's a challenge.
And one thing interesting about it is you've got a couple of common opponents with Jim Ned, the team you'll presumably be competing for a district championship with in Wall and Lubbock Estacado. So a little bit of a comparison point there. They have their open date on October 3rd, as you said, and then kick off district play on October 10th at San Angelo TLCA. They come home to play Comanche on the 17th of October, go to Clyde on the 24th, host Breckenridge on Halloween night, and then wrap up their district schedule at Jim Ned on November 7th. So a good solid schedule from top to bottom there.
All right, game of the year. As you see it, I think it's pretty obvious. At least
Yeah.
if everything holds together as far as injuries are concerned.
Yep, and we had this discussion last night with Jim Ned. So it's that season finale at Jim Ned. That to me looks like just the one that will likely decide the district championship in this league. I think those are the two teams with the most experienced that have experienced the most success and have the most players coming back who are going to have those levels of expectation. I think if both play to their capabilities, that could be a huge game there on November 7th.
I agree with you. I think that one sticks out like a sore thumb. That is the game of the year for both Jim Net and Sweetwater. If they're healthy, I think if both teams are healthy, I think it'll probably be for the district championship and the season finale. It doesn't get any better than that. Winner take all. That's if it shapes up that way, man, what a night that'll be.
For sure. But that's going to be an interesting schedule from top to bottom. And again, we've talked about it several times today. Health is going to be the key factor. This Sweetwater team's got to stay healthy. If they do, it could be a special season for Coach Hodnett in year one.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Sweetwater Mustangs. But before we do that, we want to remind you that August 20th is the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's the day we release our annual preseason football preview. It is the most comprehensive look at area football of any media source. That's either a media source that's in our area or outside of our area. Don't miss it. August 20th. That's the big day. Tons of stuff. Join us.
In the meantime, we appreciate you joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow. We move up to Class 4A with the Snyder Tigers here at BigCountryPreps.com.